Blessed Holy Week. So I've really been struck while I've been praying this week on kind of the parallels between what the disciples must have been experiencing this week in this season of life that we're going through as well. So the disciples started this week with a great celebration as Jesus comes into Jerusalem, and everybody honors Jesus as the Son of David and recognizes him as the Messiah. There's a lot of fanfare involved with that. But as we move through the week, we see how the week changes and the disciples become overwhelmed with fear and everything changes in a minute. They were at one stage walking alongside the Son of God, watching him perform miracles. He's transfigured before their eyes. He raises Lazarus from the dead. And then we hit this week where Judas sells him for 30 pieces of silver, assuming that he's not really the Son of God, that Peter in fact denies even knowing him and does so more than once. And then of course when Jesus is crucified, the only people who show up are his mother, the disciple John, and a few of the other women. Everybody else has gone into hiding. They're overwhelmed, they're afraid, and they're uncertain for their future. You and I would say, are overwhelmed. We're stuck in a lot of fear, and the future is absolutely uncertain. And so here's what we know. We know that Jesus Christ came to save. We know that this is the week when he redeems us from all of our sin and affliction. And in fact, when Jesus is dying on the cross, he has that line, he says, my God, why have you abandoned me? I think many times in our life, we assume that God too has abandoned us because of the circumstances. And so sometimes when we hear this accounting of Scripture, we assume, well, Jesus is saying the same thing, that he's been abandoned. And yet Jesus actually is proclaiming a line from Psalm 22. If you read Psalm 22, at the end of it, the psalmist actually starts praising God, recognizing that God is near to us in every affliction and keeps his promises. Jesus would have known that psalm and said it many times in his life. And so on the cross, he acknowledges that the suffering and his death looks like an abandonment when actually it's a moment to praise the Father. And so we see that confirmed in the Blessed Mother, who stays at her son's side throughout his whole trial, throughout the way of the cross, and throughout his crucifixion. And she doesn't make a scene during any of it because she's so confident that the Father's will be done, that she allows it and she participates with it through her prayer and through her steadfast heart. And so you and I make a choice this week. We make a choice to move through Holy Week and through this season of our lives with the Blessed Mother, staying steadfast in the promises of God, that Jesus Christ is in fact the Messiah sent to save us, that we stay at his feet during his crucifixion, believing that he is the Son of God and begging God for the mercy and the grace that we know comes with the resurrection, whenever the resurrection comes, but we know that it comes. So my brothers and sisters, join me in this week, staying at the foot of the cross, believing in the promises of God, and asking the Blessed Mother to be with us in this season and to make the glory of God known to us. We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you, because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world.